you own it. Let every mile bring a smile, yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of the Road to Life podcast with Meredith and Craig. What do we got this week, McKay?
Oh, we've got a really good episode this week. See, we get asked a lot stuff like, is this normal? Is what's going on in my relationship like a normal thing?
Look at this thing on me. Is this normal?
No, not a lot of that.
Oh.
But a lot of like, this is what's going on in our relationship. Is this normal? And normal's a bit of a weird word. Like,
What constitutes normal, really, in the grand scheme of things? Yeah, I agree. It's a tough word, but we'll use it in the context of, is it a red flag or not a red flag, basically. And we'll call normal not a red flag.
we'll call it like the regular ebb and flow of a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, every relationship is not going to be at its peak all day, every day, forever. There's going to be some peak and valley, some ebb and flow to them, and that is normal. Then there are things that sometimes we might normalize because they happen a lot, that maybe are actually red flags that we need to not normalize and actually address
Things that
specifically.
are not okay a lot in your relationship. You don't want these things.
Yeah,
So,
maybe what's okay and what's not okay.
yeah. We'll talk through some real life examples of things that have come up, through our coaching and talking with clients and different folks. Like the big three are parenting, sex,
Money.
and money. And so we're going to talk about those three, but also just, so we'll touch on all three of those things, and we'll just throw in some other examples as well of things that come up typically in conflict, if you will, that people question, is this normal or do we have a problem here?
So I think by the end of the episode, we want to give you a better idea of like what's a normal peak and valley flow and what's something that we want to look at a little more deeper and maybe adjust that.
So let's just dive into the first one. The first example is we're always fighting about the same things. We'll have the fight, we'll get past it, and then a few days later, here we are again. Feels like fighting about the same thing again. And is this normal or is this not okay? And it's pretty common.
Doesn't feel good.
It's pretty common. It's actually pretty normal if you're fighting about the same things over and over again. It's frustrating. You don't want to be doing it. So I think, at a certain point we want to look at what's the root cause of this thing. How can we get past this thing once and for all? But is it like a red flag, like we're in a bad spot? Not necessarily. As long as you're treating the conflict with respect for each other.
Yeah, it's like, because sometimes we'll argue about something, we'll get past it, and then we'll argue about the same thing or something very similar a few days later, because the argument is not really, what you're arguing about is really kind of on the surface. There's something that's a layer deeper that's creating the argument. That's the root cause of what's actually the conflict. It's not usually, if it's happening again and again, it's not usually what the surface level is. There's usually a level deeper. And while he's right, it's frustrating to be fighting about the same thing, arguing about the same thing over and over again.
Super frustrating.
It's not abnormal, and it's not a red flag in your relationship as long as you're treating each other with respect in the argument, like not name calling, not yelling at each other, not trying to win at all costs, and you're repairing after the argument, you're apologizing, you're taking the time to reconnect after the argument is over. So if you're treating each other with respect, working to resolve it and repairing after, and then you find yourself back in that cycle the next week, that's not a huge red flag, but there is something there that needs to be dealt with at a deeper level.
So, how do we get past it? Well, we really need to focus on what is that root cause? Like, what is the underlying issue that is not this surface level stuff that seems to be the problem that we seem to be fighting about? What's a layer deeper? What is the actual reason that we're really going through this? What's triggering these issues? And if we can get to that root cause, then we can get past this once and for all, and we don't have to keep fighting about the same thing over and over again.
And leading with curiosity helps with that. Sometimes a question as simple as, what's this bringing up for you, can actually unlock the next level.
Yeah, is this reminding you of something from your past? Like maybe it's, it really reminds me when my dad used to do this to me when I was a kid, when I did this thing. And so, okay, let's dig into that a little bit. But yeah, really finding that root cause is going to be and it's going to be different depending on what the issue is, right? Like it's hard to diagnose it in the moment.
There's no silver bullet for that one.
No, we have to work on your specific issue, right? So know that it's normal. It's not a
giant red flag.
Red flag at this point. Second example, anytime I bring something up to discuss, they get really defensive.
This one is a problem. Defensiveness is one of the 4 horsemen, one of the predictors of relationship failure. Defensiveness is a problem in your relationship. So it is a red flag.
If it's happening all the time, like we all have our moments, we all have our hiccups, we all have our faults where we get a little defensive in the moment. Happens to the best of us. But if it's consistent, like you say, every time I bring something up, and every time is a very...
Speaking in big generalities.
It's a very big generality.
But if it feels like almost every single time you bring something up, you're getting like, no, blame shifting, not mine.
Shutting down the communication, never good, because then how do you ever get past it? So if we're not able to have the conversation, how are we ever able to grow through this as a couple? As individuals and as a couple, how are we ever going to get through this? So if defensiveness is coming up in every disagreement,
it's a red flag.
Okay, we need to work through that.
And what might be helpful in getting around the defensiveness is when you're bringing something up, really being super specific, speaking in I statements exactly how it impacts me and my feelings, speaking just from my own perspective and talking about very specific examples, and also leading with a 100% responsibility, which is our 200% marriage mindset. So we can link to an episode that goes into this in more detail. But when you can take responsibility in the conversation, it helps the other person not feel attacked and therefore maybe won't get defensive. So leading with responsibility and leading with I statements and being super specific can be helpful in trying to get past defensiveness.
Example 3. We haven't had sex in 10 years. First of all, not okay. Like if we're talking about decades,
giant
or
red flag.
Years, even months, it starts to become a red flag. It's not okay. You know, it's normal to have ebbs and flows in your levels of intimacy as your relationship progresses. But if, like I say, if we're talking decades, years, and a lot of times months, that's a long time. And it really is revealing a deeper disconnection.
It can be normal to go through seasons, especially when stress is high or if there's something specific going on that's very stressful. That can lead to a season of feeling a little bit more like roommates than lovers. It is when the physical intimacy goes away, it's usually a sign that there's a deeper emotional disconnection. And when there's an emotional disconnection and distance that comes between you, that needs to be addressed. That's a big red flag.
So something really important here is don't compare your levels of intimacy to other couples' levels of intimacy, whether it's more or less, it doesn't matter. What matters is that are you as individuals in this relationship getting your needs met? And if you feel as though there's a gap in your relationship where your needs aren't met or your partner's needs aren't met, then there's an issue we need to work through, because we want to make it so that we compromise and we get both partners feeling like they're emotionally and physically connected.
And so the first step for that is going to be having probably a kind of an uncomfortable conversation. What are the needs? Are they being met? What needs aren't being met? And sometimes those conversations can feel really challenging. Sometimes it can be helpful to listen to a podcast episode or like a TED Talk or a YouTube video, something that gets the conversation going. And so we've got an episode that we can link below that might help get the conversation started for you.
Sometimes it helps to be, have a coach to walk you through some of these difficult conversations. Wink, wink. But yeah, we're here for you. And it's not always an easy conversation to have. In fact, it's probably not really ever an easy conversation to have. But it is necessary for the long-term connection in your relationship. Remember, if we don't want to avoid discomfort in the moment for long-term dysfunction. So lean into if you're feeling like your needs aren't met, if there's, a disconnect in the level of physical intimacy in your relationship. Do not hide from it. Do not run from it, because it will only snowball and get worse. Have the conversation now. It is easier to have it now. No time like the present. There's never going to be an easier time to have that conversation. Even as hard as it is going to be today, it's never going to be easier than it is today.
Right. It only gets harder.
Yeah. Example number 4. I don't know anything about our finances. What happens if something happens to them? Like, what do I do?
This is a red flag. This one is not okay.
You both need to know the financial situation of your relationship so that in the event something happens to one of you,
you don't have that added stress of, oh my God, I don't know what to do now. I don't know where the money is. I don't know how to do it. Like, if something happens to one of you, that's going to be incredibly stressful and difficult and emotional, and there's going to be a lot of overwhelm in that situation. The last thing you want is additional financial stress and overwhelm on top of an already difficult situation.
Totally. Like we talked about how, sex, which we just talked about finances, which we're talking about now, and parenting, which we're going to talk about in a second, are the big three. So the finances in your relationship is a huge issue, and it's really important that both partners kind of have at least some basic understanding of how the money flows in and out and how the bills get paid and where they go and all the things in the event something happens. To Mayor's point, if something stressful happens, my goodness, you don't want to have
the added stress of the financial burden.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's awful.
And so we have I think we called an episode "Don't Be Weird About Money" in your relationship, because we're big believers in not being weird about money. Get the money out in the open in your relationship so you both know what's going on. So we'll link to that episode too, because it's important that you're both looped in. One person can take charge. Like, it's great to have a CFO of your family. That's important. But you both need to know how the money flows in and out so that you both understand the financial situation that you're in.
It's pretty simple, really. Just have a weekly or monthly check-in with each other of the finances, going over, the different accounts, the different bills, and make your plans for where the money's going to go, what your budgets are going to be, what you're going to focus on, the dream vacation, the whatever debt repayment, whatever it is for you. Have those conversations on a weekly or somewhat whatever
regular cadence
works for you.
Yeah.
Example 5.
Last one
is we disagree every day about how to parent our children.
That's a common one.
It's pretty normal, actually.
Super normal.
Like, you're two different humans. You have two different experiences. You grew up with sets of parents or not, and you have different upbringings. And so it's completely normal to believe how to raise a child. Your beliefs in how to raise a child are different than your spouse's. And
you probably, when you dig into it, agree on the big pillars, like agree on the big rocks of how you want to raise your kids.
Like, we don't want them doing drugs. We can agree
on that. We can probably both agree on that.
We can agree on that.
So there's probably stuff, the big shit, you probably agree on. It's probably the more day-to-day, smaller pieces where you're running into the disagreements, usually.
Maybe bedtime for you as a kid was 9 o'clock. For your spouse, it was 7 o'clock. You want it to be 9 o'clock. Let's figure it out. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. It's what's important is not that you're having those disagreements, because they're super normal. It's super normal to disagree about parenting styles.
How are you handling them? How are you operating through them? That's the critical question. It's not the fact that you are disagreeing about parenting. It's how are you handling those disagreements, and how are you handling them in front of your kids?
Yeah, united front.
Those are the bigger issues.
Yeah. So how you handle it overall is following the same approach with any disagreement, is staying respectful, resolving it, repairing it, always. Demonstrating the resolve and the repair in front of your kids when you can. The apologizing is a big, important role model piece for the kids. And focusing on the things that you do agree on. Starting with your shared values that you've probably already talked about. Like you said, you probably already agree on the big pieces. So focus on where you agree and then start going out from there. Like the seed of agreement in your conflict resolution stuff. Focus on what you already agree on, and then work to come to a resolution on the smaller day-to-day disagreements that you're having.
So basically what we're saying is that not every disagreement or struggle in your relationship is a red flag. Some of them are completely normal, but some things do cross the line into not okay. And those are the things that we really need to focus on and understand the difference between the two. And it's really important to deal with even the smaller issues, the root cause of those now, before they become not okay. So anything that's coming up for you regularly that doesn't feel right, that you're consistently agreeing about, let's address them now while they're not big problems, so that they do not become big problems down the line.
What does our friend Greg say? You want to kill King Kong when he's a baby, not wait till he's hanging off the top of the Empire State Building, if I've got that right. Maybe I don't know. But
sounds right.
The sooner you can address the issue, the easier it's going to be. The longer the issue persists, the bigger it gets, the harder it is to address. So let's kill King Kong while he's a baby.
So take a moment, reflect on your relationship. Are there any areas where, you've normalized something that maybe is more of a red flag? Or are there little small things that typically are normal, but we want to hit them now before they become big, not okay things? So just take inventory of your relationship and understand what those things are, and then make a plan to address them, because now's the time. You don't want to wait and have these things fester and become bigger problems.
Because like we always say, we love chit-chatting with you, But what are you taking out of it? What's
Yeah.
the one thing, the one action you're going to take based on our conversation that's going to change your relationship? On that note,
Love you more.
see you next week.
Bye.
Before we wrap up, we just want to remind you about something really special we've created, the Infinite Relationship Mastermind. It's like a VIP backstage pass for anyone looking to level up any and all of the relationships in their life. And we're not just talking about the relationship with your spouse, though it does include that one. We're also talking about the relationships with yourself, your friends, your business partners, your family, all the important people in your life. This mastermind is for anyone ready to take all of their relationships to a whole new level. Whether you're thriving and you want to thrive even more, or you're feeling a little stuck and need some extra love and support.
We host exclusive live courses. We create a safe, no judgment space where members can just open up and honestly just have a ton of fun connecting with other amazing people who are building stronger relationships. And to be honest, the transformations we've seen are incredible, and it's exactly why we do what we do. It fills our heart like nothing else. Now, we are super protective of this community because it is all about trust, love, and support. So it's not for everybody. But if this does sound like it might tickle your fancy, then check out the link in the show notes and reach out to us if you have any questions. We'd love to chat and see if it's a fit for you. And as always, thank you so much for being a part of our journey on the road of life. And remember, you've got this, and we're here to help you every step of the way. So we'll see you next week.
Bye for now.
Road of life, yes, you own it. Let every mile